So, for this piece, I took the following paints: titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow deep, yellow ochre, cadmium red deep, metallic red or alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, ultramarine, black, burnt sienna, or red ochre, like the one that I have, turquoise blue, and emerald green. In this pot, I have some odorless turpentine, but you can use any thinner you'd like, whichever you're used to using. I'm using a medium-sized canvas. For this particular painting, I recommend using something medium, 30 by 40 or 40 by 50 centimeters. I wouldn't recommend using anything too small or too big. It's going to be more convenient to work on something like this. Okay, and now we shall begin working on a sketch. Let's take some thinner. There's already some paint on the brush. We'll take this crimson paint and sketch out the main objects in the painting. We need to line the horizon. We shall place it somewhere around here in the bottom quarter of the canvas. And we do this by dividing the canvas in half and then dividing that in half again. And let's draw it like this. This is our horizon. Let's map out the mountains as well in the right corner. I will also draw the water like this. This is how it will flow, how the coastal wave will roll in. Maybe we shall put some stones here as well. And now I think it's time to sketch out the clouds. I'll first wipe the brush. And I will start drawing the clouds with a very light crimson. Please notice how big the clouds I'm drawing are. It's a very good idea to give the clouds some shape now. If they were small, we wouldn't have mapped them out. But in this case, it would be a good idea to create a preliminary sketch first. Here's how our airy clouds will float. There are a lot of them, and they will all fade and merge in the background. Let's mark some clouds here behind the mountains as well. And you can faintly see the ragged lines of the clouds there far off in the distance. So this is our sketch, and you can see now where all the objects will be. And next, we'll start working directly on the sky. Let me show you how we're going to do it. I take a bristle paintbrush and our blue paints. I mix turquoise and phthalo blue, add some white, I'm also adding a bit of thinner, and then using this bright saturated color, let's make it more violet, I'm painting over the upper parts of the canvas just like so. I'm thoroughly covering the canvas with the color, adding a bit more of the thinner, and now we'll start gradually adding turquoise. The bottom half of the sky will be much lighter and much more turquoise. I'm taking turquoise and mixing it with some white. And now I'm painting the sky like so. I'm now adding some phthalo blue mixed with white. The color is very saturated and bright. I'm connecting everything together. This way we can make the background more uniform. Perfect. And now let's work on the bottom half of the sky. You can wipe the brush a bit. I'm mixing white with some yellow and a tiny bit of turquoise. We will paint the bottom half with this light color. I'm gradually connecting the colors. This is how we bridge the two colors, making a soft gradient. Look at this gorgeous gradient. It looks so smooth. I'm making the bottom part even lighter. And adding some pink to it. Here's our pink in the distance. Take a look at this beautiful soft gradient. And now we can take this big bristle brush and feather it all out even more. You can make either horizontal or diagonal strokes. Look at how beautifully these colors mix together. We have this soft looking sky. And now we'll take another brush and add white. I'm taking a brush of the same size, dipping it into the thinner. Always wipe off the excess. I'm thoroughly loading the brush with the pink-white mixture. Now we need to paint the clouds. See how I did it? Like this. Very softly but firmly, I'm painting the clouds. I'm barely hovering in some places and pushing the brush stronger in others using steady motions. I'm first making them all uniform. The clouds are horizontal. We're making them all similar at this step. I will also draw some airy clouds up here. I'm wiping the brush now. I'm mixing some pink again and using it to gently paint some horizontal clouds in the distance. There's a lot of paint. We have these beautiful pink gentle clouds. And I'm painting smaller and more dense clouds in the distance. Perfect. Now I take this fluffy makeup brush to make our clouds even puffier and gentler, weightless. We will do it like so, touching the canvas very lightly. I'm making these light crisscross movements. I'm also wiping the brush every so often, like so. Even now, the clouds look very soft and diffused. Look at this cloud in the upper part of the canvas. You can see how different they look to the ones we blended. Now let's diffuse those two. Like this, soft strokes. We can even show where the wind blows like that. We can start working with a soft brush now. I'm trying to find some soft brush now. Let's try this one. This again is a makeup brush. I recommend buying the cheapest makeup brush set. And as far as we're not going to use it on the face, we don't care what the brushes are made of. These brushes are all synthetic, not of very high quality. They often break at the base and have some glue on them, but it doesn't matter to us. These brushes are perfect for blending. So I can recommend this technique and these brushes. Now I will take some small synthetic brush. I'm trying to find one. I want a soft one. You can also use some fur brushes. Of course, these brushes are much more expensive, but they will get the job done pretty well. So I'm taking a small brush and loading it with shadow colors. These colors are violet, blue mixed with red, a little bit of blue, and a tiny amount of brown. I didn't load the brush heavily. I'm starting to make shadows on the bottom parts of objects. Again, I'm using brown with violet. Okay, that's too much. This looks much better. I'm making the bottom parts darker and more violet. I'm emphasizing the depth. I'm making the bottom darker and even more crimson. And here at the bottom too. I'm outlining the cluster of clouds here. And then, using a blending brush, I'm diffusing everything. You can even flick the brush upwards like so to make the shadow more uniform. And now we only need to work on the tops to make them more precise and clean cut. I'm mixing white, red, and yellow. Now I'm starting to form the shapes of the clouds. Do you see how I almost hover over the canvas in some places? I use no pressure. You can try to paint some shapes like so. Even now, the scene looks weightless, light, and airy. It's very pleasant. It definitely looks like paradise. It reminds me of a bounty ad or some tropical scenery, something light, airy, fluffy with beautiful clouds. I like this turquoise sky. I don't know about you, but in my dreams, the sky looks something like this. We're focusing on the tops of the clouds. I'm mixing pink and yellow one more time. Let's paint these bottom clouds more clearly and precisely. They can appear or disappear in some places. And now I will again diffuse them a bit. Here I'm touching them very softly, and here I'm applying a bit more pressure. So here are our very soft and fluffy clouds. Next, you can use a smaller brush to work on some details. I am going to use this small brush. I'm loading up the white right from the palette knife. As you can see, we can make some clouds sharper. I can also add some depth to the painting like that. And here I can put some highlights. You can also add a touch of turquoise back, but it's not necessary. I'm adding back shadows into some places too. This is to make depth. Of course, I don't touch up all the clouds. Perfect. Let's move on. Let's proceed with the sea. I'm making a rather dark mix of two blues and emerald and maybe even a touch of red. I'm purposefully making the horizon dark Try to make it as even as possible. This line should be perfectly straight. I'm making it a bit softer. I'm gradually going lower. Now I'm using a brighter color. Let's go green. And now we need to make it warmer. Look at this color, it's very pretty and warm. I'll make it even redder in the foreground. Next, we'll paint the coast. We'll have a dark mountain here. I'm mixing black with brown. I'm making the bottom darker. Let's think about the shape of it. I'm adding more black to the base. I'll be painting the reflection of the mountain with a bright mixture of brown and pink. And we're gradually coming down to blue. This is the color of the waves. Perfect. This is all done. Now we need to unify everything we painted here. Let's start with the background. I will take a thin bristle brush and paint the mountains that are far away. Here they are, our high mountains. Adding more black. They are very far away. The mountain that is closer also needs some shaping. I'm painting it lower like this. Let's add some stones right here. Big cobblestones. Let's put some here in the foreground. Using contrasting colors, I'm outlining the forms of the mountain. These are highlights. I make the colors gradually redder. And even redder, maybe crimson. Here they are, sun-kissed sides of the mountain. Let's also paint some greenery on the mountain. The greenery is going to be dark. Let's have some green here as well. I will add a bit more black. The day is bright and sunny, so we'll have a lot of contrasting parts. I'm using black paint to make these parts very dark. Don't worry, it will not look this dark because we have a lot of different bright colors. I'm placing some shadows here. I'm emphasizing depth in these places. Let's also add some blue. Here at the back. Okay. Let's mix black and brown and put it here on the reflection. The sand is wet. I think it's time to paint waves. First, we'll paint the waves in obvious places. Of course, we need to paint an incoming wave. Next, we'll paint a wave. Somewhere here, some sea foam. It just lies there on the beach, foamy and airy. I'm blending it now in soft strokes. After that, I'm mixing ultramarine colors to use it for some seawater. Moving on. I'm mixing violet with blue and white. The result is a rather warm color. I'm using this color to make pretty waves without painting over the previous color completely. I will use a harder brush for this. I'm using more pressure, but letting go sometimes. Don't cover completely the colors we already have. We're just putting ripples onto water. These ripples are reflections of the sky above. I'm using blue in the back. I'm wiping the brush and blending everything together. You can already use a small soft brush over it. These are the waves. Sometimes I make them bluer. I'm continuing like so. As you can see, the colors have great undertones. Now I'm using blue colors. Bluer than before. Look how much brighter they look in contrast to the previous shades. We used very calm gray colors before, so this blue is going to pop. Let's go ahead and add some more blue on top. It looks like a reflection of the sky. The colors that we have are very natural and beautiful. Now I'm going to softly blend everything together. I'm only using horizontal strokes now. Look at this beautiful, realistic looking beach. Okay, now we can flesh everything out in detail. First, let's paint some white bright sea foam. I'm adding some pink to it. Let's start painting. Here we will have spots with the whitest foam. We can even add some foam to the back. Don't forget to add foam to the waves, especially at the root of the cobblestone. I'm adding foam to the waves here to add depth. I'm also stretching the color a bit. I'm adding color and stretching it out. I'm doing it again right here. Let's paint this wave as well. As you can see, I feather it out. Right now, I'm using a small soft brush. By the way, I ordered this brush from AliExpress. Every artist's kit has brushes ranging from very pricey to extremely cheap. You just need to know when and how to use them properly. So please don't buy a bunch of expensive brushes, but at the same time, don't try to buy as many cheap brushes as possible. In general, it's nice to have one or two really nice brushes that'll serve you faithfully, especially if you take proper care of them. I have a video on that. Take a look if you haven't already. So it's better to purchase one or two expensive brushes that'll be with you for many, many years, whereas cheap brushes wear easily and need changing fast. They are your wearing parts. But they have a place. Balance is important. We need to understand the tools in our kit. Look at this gorgeous sea line we've got. Sea water, eaves, everything flows. I really love these scenes. You can rest while painting them. You can turn on your favorite music, relax, and enjoy the process. Painting these waves is very relaxing. Here they are, the incoming waves. Okay, let's get back to the cobblestones. I'll flesh out this particular cobblestone in the foreground using black paint. Don't forget, we need the contrast. I'll also add some stones up here. I will add highlights using small, soft brushes. You can make it very contrasting. Look at the highlights here. They're so bright. Now I'm adding more ochre. And some violet too. I'm also adding red and ginger up here in the sun. I'm going to accentuate the line here. We also need to add more reflections to the water. Like this, under the cobblestone. These are darker parts of the stone that are underwater. These shadows are reflections of the root of the stone. What else do we need to do? Let's add some foam to the stones in the background. I'm wiping the brush regularly because it gets smudged. Let's add some more white where the foam is. Now, I'll add a lighter shade of water here. I'm using blue now. Look at the brightness of these colors. By the way, you have to be mindful of the coastal features where the water lies. I also need to add some lighter reflections right here. I'm going to diffuse all of it. We need brighter reflections right here where the sun hits the mountain. And now I'll add some more details to the mountain using a small brush. You can take brushes like these, very thin ones. I'm adding ragged lines like this. You can make them redder. Let's add a little bit more of yellow. I will also paint flecks of light on the stone. Now, to make contrast, I'll take another thin brush and add dark shadows. I'm mixing red, blue and black. Let's add a shadow here. We can even add more red into it. Make the shadows red-black. Let's also add midtones right here. Well, I think our painting looks finished. I'll just add a couple of final strokes now. Well, I think this is it. We painted a lovely seascape that is bright and saturated. We used a subdued palette. The painting almost smells of sea and salt. Thank you for being with me today. I wish you beautiful paintings and all the best. Actually, I think I need to add this line here. Maybe it'll even look better in blue. Like so. And now the painting is truly finished. Goodbye, everyone. I wish you all the best. See you. Bye.